Okay, stand by. Hi there, good afternoon. This is your host, Ron Harders on the Chi-Town Expat Show. And boy, what a week this has been. Looks like the North Koreans are going to quit their nuclear testing, and maybe Mr. Trump is going to get something done that none of the other so-called great presidents could ever do. In any case, that's one thing. Then Barbara Bush passed away, and of course, all of the dignitaries were at the funeral. And I noticed that Melania was forced to sit right next to Obama. Boy, that must have been a hard deal for her today. In any case, there's a few other things going on, and the Democrats are doing their darndest to destroy whatever's going on and destroy Trump. And their latest trick is their mulligan audacious plan to bottle up President Trump's nominee to head the State Department. The risks are not worth the reward. Schumer may not want to go nuclear. This whole thing with 60 votes, it's a real nuclear play. It's first Schumer making the play to require them to go to 60, and then the second play is McConnell going nuclear, the senator said. Schumer may also want to avoid putting vulnerable Democrats running for re-election in Trump states in a tough position. Red state Democrats, such as Senators Joe Manchin, West Virginia, and Joe Donnelly, independent, who are undecided on Pompeo, will be pressed by GOP opponents on whether they support Schumer's tactic. Heitkamp, Manchin, and Donnelly are among the 14 Democrats plus independent Senator Angus King of Maine, who caucuses with the Democrats, who voted to confirm Pompeo as CIA director. The Democrats already had leverage in the battle over Pompeo because of Senator Rand Paul's opposition to Trump's nominee. Because Senator John McCain, Republican Arizona, is also absent from the Senate as he undergoes treatment for brain cancer, that left Republicans with a maximum of 49 votes. Heitkamp's announcement, however, changes calculations by delivering a potential 50th vote to Pompeo. It's theoretically possible that Paul could back the Democratic maneuver, though that would seem unlikely given the break it would represent with his party and the White House. On the panel, Paul is expected to vote against Pompeo along with the committee's Democrats, preventing him from winning a favorable vote. Every Democrat on the Foreign Relations Committee has said they will vote against Pompeo, except for Senator Christopher Coons, Democrat Delaware, who says he is leaning against the nominee. Coons says that Pompeo has also asked for one more chance to talk to him. Trump has stepped up pressure on Paul in recent days to support Pompeo. I will say this about Rand Paul. He's never let me down, Trump told reporters at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. Trump called Paul on Wednesday and asked him to meet with Pompeo. Paul has agreed to do so, but hasn't promised the president anything else. If Pompeo fails to win enough votes to secure a favorable recommendation to the floor, then the Public Relations panel will vote to send him to the floor with an unfavorable recommendation. Democrats on the panel say if they also vote against the unfavorable recommendation to discharge, then Pompeo will be bottled up in committee, and McConnell will have to offer a motion on the floor to discharge him, which is subject to a filibuster and a 60-vote threshold. Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Bob Corker, Republican Tennessee, declined to comment on what would happen next if Democrats block Pompeo in committee, but he believes McConnell could get around it. There are other ways of doing it, he said. McConnell could offer a motion on the floor declaring that actions to discharge nominees who fail to receive favorable or unfavorable recommendations in committee are not subject to filibuster. That motion would have to be backed up by a simple majority vote of the entire Senate, but Corker doesn't think it will come to that. I think it will end up getting worked out, he said. Senate Republican Whip John Cornyn, Texas, dismissed the possible Democratic gambit as a pipe dream. I think that's wishful thinking, he said. They're wishing it. They are wishing to do everything they can to destroy President Trump and the United States of America. And it's a shame that we have elected these people to be representatives of the people of the United States. And it's time that the Republicans of this country woke up, not only the Republicans, but the independents, so that we can really elect some people who are more interested in doing something for the country than they are in making themselves into a bigger person. And a celebrity, so to speak. And, you know, I just listened to a Leadership Institute seminar last night, and it was talking about why people should run for office and why they should not. And if you just want to be a bigger person and be a more important person, don't run for office, because you're not going to win. But if you want to really do something for the country or for your city or for your county or whatever, then, you know, that's when you have to make that known to the public and known to the voters, so that they will think about you in that respect and vote for you for that reason. So just make sure that whatever we do in the future is to elect people that really want to do something for the country or for the city or for whatever, and make them and hold their feet to the fire, because the money that passes hands in government today is atrocious, and it's just can corrupt anybody, it seems like, except Donald Trump, because Donald has more than enough to, he doesn't really need more, and so he doesn't have to sell out to anybody, because he's got what he needs, and there's always more coming in. And when he's done with this 8 years of the presidency, he's going to continue to be a wealthy man. So, unless, of course, the lawyers get it all, which could happen. So in any case, I'll see you in the next segment, and we'll be talking about cash and what it means and what it doesn't mean. So see you in the next segment. This is Ron Harders, your host on this Chi-Town Expat Show.
Chicago, Chicago, that toddling town. Chicago, Chicago.
I want to thank my mommy for loving me so much,
for taking me to the doctor when I broke my foot,
for leaving me alone when I wanted to be alone.
And now, as a grown-up, I'm thankful for being able to take care of you, my dear mom, for taking you to your therapies, for understanding that sometimes you simply want to be alone.
Roles change without us noticing. That's why AARP gives you the information to provide even better care for your loved one. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I was sensitive to lights and sounds, so I built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. Sometimes I did the same things over and over, until one day I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Did you know that Center Right Radio is looking for new programming? Contact us today at centerright.live. Center Right Radio is now accepting new advertisers. Get in touch with us today at centerright.live.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man!
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them, like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org/AZ. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Chicago, Chicago, the town that Billy.
Okay, we're back. And I told you we'd be talking about cash. So, federal taxes were due last week, and there's something you should know about all that money being disappeared from the system. Cash is no longer king. Credit rules. The movement of money used to be important. Now it's the movement of debt. When the upward movement of debt slowed down in 2008, you can see the entire world's economy almost collapsed. But you will never know how close it came to total collapse, because the truth can never be known, lest the public revolt at the fact that money does not exist anymore. Only credit exists. This is why the government must keep interest rates low, mortgage rates low, must incentivize car loans, college loans, Christmas spending, and credit card debt, and increase sales tax revenues. When consumers stop spending money they don't have, when debt slows, the economy falters. Why target cash? Cash is being abolished in favor of debt. Cash itself is a note or a debt from the federal government to you, as I have pointed out. That arrangement must be abolished. Yes, they want to track you through electronic transactions. But the goal of the powers that be is always to extract wealth from the people. If they can get their useful idiots and psychopaths in government to take directly from the people, it will have to print less money, thereby extending the life of the system that must fail, as all fiat systems have, and extending the theft. How else do you think it's possible? They could float something as ridiculous as negative interest rates that banks can charge you, not pay you, to park your cash there. In Europe and other places. And investors would line up to do it because the investors know there will be less debt doing it that way. They lock in a lower loss than the credit system would otherwise afford them. You might simply now say that cashless is king. Visa recently offered a reward of $10,000 if stores would go cashless. And banks now use advertising images of young people, even children, and their ease with the newest technology to make anyone using cash feel like an old fuddy-duddy and an outcast. Why are the users of physical cash being targeted? by governments and banks? The simple answer is to dissuade us from using cash and to encourage us to use as little of it as is possible, or to create a perception that if we do use cash, we're behaving like some outmoded throwbacks, and the kids will look at us as horror of horrors, in danger of becoming obsolete. What is cash? Ultimately, what exactly is physical cash? NakedCapitalism.com also points out that it has some unique and rather special characteristics. As a service, it is free at the point of use. When I pay you in cash, neither of us incur a fee for my settling my account with you by handing over notes or coins. The banksters can't have that. People using money for free instead of incurring a 3.25% charge for using a credit card? Humbug. They're goading us into abandoning the only money that has no settlement fee for using it and which pays interest when you store it in favor of taxable fee-based debt that you owe interest on. How did no one see the switch from earning and saving to borrowing and spending? It happened gradually over time. Since December 1913, when the Federal Reserve was established. On the very first page of Henry Hazlitt's book, Economics in One Lesson, he writes, while certain public policies would in the long run benefit everybody, other policies would benefit one group only at the expense of all other groups. The group that would benefit by such policies, having such a direct interest in them, will argue for them plausibly and persistently. It will hire the best viable minds to devote their whole time to presenting its case. And it will finally either convince the general public that its case is sound or so befuddle it that clear thinking on the subject becomes next to impossible. Thus, we've become befuddled and confused over what real money is, all according to the plan officially put into play 100 years ago. Before that time, banks would lend money. After the Fed was created, banks were there to provide credit. Central banks don't deal in money, they deal in financing conditions and liquidity. This does not include lending out cash, which one thinks of as the very thing a bank does. No, this means incestuously purchasing government or corporate bonds with newly minted public credit, keeping in mind that notes and bonds are much nicer names for what they really are, which are debt instruments, all controlled by the Federal Reserve. In an interview from 1994 on C-SPAN's show Book Notes, Milton Friedman explained why he was for ripping the heart out of this immoral system of debt serfdom and abolishing the Fed. Look, the Federal Reserve started operation in 1914. It presided over a doubling of prices during World War I. It produced a major collapse in 1921. It undertook actions which led to a recession in 1929 to 30, and it converted that recession by its actions into the Great Depression. Since that time, it presided over a doubling of prices during World War II, and it financed the inflation of the 1970s. It's done far more harm than good. Consider that in the United States, most of the money in our financial system is in stocks, derivatives, bonds, mortgages, and digital bank deposits. The real cash in circulation, that is stuff you can actually hold in your hands, adds up to, in total, to less than 1% of all the money in our financial system. Here's another curious fact that may surprise you and illustrates just how far the war on cash has encroached into our financial life. Once upon a time, the U.S. printed denominations of $500, $1,000, $5,000, and even $10,000 notes. These large bills were no longer printed after 1945. And under the pretext of fighting the war on drugs, in 1969, the U.S. government eliminated all large denominations. The largest paper note now printed by the Treasury Department is the $100 bill. If anyone needed further proof that cash is disappearing, I point out that the world's largest printer of banknotes, after cutting production and firing employees, also sold its paper banknote business off to an investment fund. De La Rue produces banknotes for over 150 national currencies, including the British pound sterling, for example. More than any other company in the world, and will continue to produce polymer banknotes and passports, even though it just lost out on the job to continue to make the UK's iconic blue passports. Are the money creators winning the war on untraceable, untaxable, user-free, free private cash? Not yet. India's war on cash has backfired. Economic growth has slowed, and the push to stop criminals has resulted in millions of jobs lost and a loss of privacy for Indians. Swedes, who also went all in on a cashless society, are now regretting their decision due to loss of privacy and vulnerability to hackers and thieves. The very bad actors moving away from cash was supposed to stop. So I'll finish this up after the next segment, after these commercials, and we'll finish that up in the next segment. We'll have a good rest of the afternoon.
On State Street, that great street, I just want to say,
From Washington.
they do.
Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger, from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
People are always talking about the stock market, always looking to invest in a good opportunity, something with the potential to grow. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about taking money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures from UNCF. Your investment can help students go to college, which ends up making the future better for everybody. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A message from UNCF and the Ad Council.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14...
41, 31, 13. We
Took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. Realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the Search Engine and Digital Marketing Race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.
The time of their life. I saw a man, he danced with his wife.
Okay, we're back. Now I finish up this thing about cash, and there are more than enough reasons to take personal measures to retain a certain level of freedom in your financial affairs by converting a portion of your wealth into non-digital assets like gold and silver bullion, coins and bars, jewelry, precious gems, art and antiques, or other hard assets. Of these, gold and silver bullion requires the least amount of specialized knowledge. Of course, you'll have to provide storage and security for these hard asset valuables. You may want to consider offshore non-bank storage to get your goods as far from U.S. government hands as is legally permissible, both to protect privacy and to protect against seizure or even confiscation. Be sure to abide by all U.S. and international laws when considering offshore storage for your valuables. Bob Livingston Alerts in no way advocates illegal activities. You also want to do due diligence on the integrity of the storage institution you choose and the political stability of the country where they operate. I advocate holding gold and silver for future use, and if you go here, I'll give you my best advice on doing so. But for now, you should hold some cash money, enough to cover about 3 months of bills if possible. Buy with cash while you can, but be careful who you tell that you have it, and store it in a safe, preferably hidden away. I can't believe it, but some people still ask if they should put their assets in a bank safety deposit box. The answer is still a resounding no. Banks are pseudo-government agencies, and contents are subject to seizure. So there you go, folks. That tells you all about cash and what it isn't today and what it hasn't been actually since 1913. And all of the things that have happened monetarily, economically, are a result of our wonderful government people, those who we elected, creating the Federal Reserve in 1913. And it's amazing that we still keep electing these same people over and over and over again. And we never seem to learn our lesson. But then again, I can understand it because so many people are oblivious and they don't want to talk about politics. They don't want to do this or that or the other thing because they either don't understand it or they don't care to. They think that they can exist without it, without knowing anything about it. The fact that they may go out and vote or not vote at every election is another point of view. And really, you need to know that you have to be involved. You have to know what's going on because it's these very things that we have talked about now that are going to cause you all kinds of pain, and if not have already caused you all kinds of pain, because I remember when I worked at Ford Motor Company and I bought a brand new Ford Galaxy 500 two-door hardtop with all the toys. And it cost me $3,100. That same car today is probably in the $20,000 range. So just exactly what have we gained by all of the money that is now worthless? Just like the teachers are out there today in Arizona and all over the country crying for more money, more money. And the only reason that they need more money is because the inflation has taken the value of money and thrown it in the trash. And of course, the bankers are all getting wealthy. And because they get more money than the rate of inflation, so that their holdings always go up. And they have so much money that it doesn't matter to them what they pay for anything. Just look at California and all of the homeless that are camped out all along every street practically in almost every town in California, where the rents have gotten so outrageous that nobody can afford to live in a building and eat a meal at the same time. So they have to live on the streets. And it's a shame that all of this is going on and nobody wants to vote these people out of office. What's the matter with you guys? Don't you have any thought about what's going on? Why do you need to be castigated for voting Democrat? Don't you know that they are out to ruin you? And why are we always doing the same thing over and over and over again? And we listen to their foolishness and believe the lies that the politicians spew with regularity. And that's from both sides of the fence. And the ones that get into Washington and supposedly are there for helping their constituents, and then they sell out to the swamp. It's amazing that we never learn our lesson. In any case, I think that Trump really brought a new outlook to the country, and a whole lot of people who hadn't voted in the past voted for Mr. Trump because they recognized that here was a guy that really had the right ideas, and he had the wherewithal to get them put into practice. So, and of course the Uniparty, the establishment, that's the last thing they wanted to have happen, was to have Mr. Trump win, because actually it was their lives and property that was at stake, and they didn't want to give up anything so that America could be great again. So here we go. Just keep that in mind in this coming election, and we'll see what we can do if we can blunt the Democrats in their desire to control the country and win some seats from the Republicans. But let's really get some people that want to help the country and help Mr. Trump, as opposed to becoming part of the establishment. We'll see you in the next segment.
I just want to say they do things they don't do on Broadway.
Have I got
Laid
time
off
to go to the
and
bed?
trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger, from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it. Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
People are always talking about the stock market, always looking to invest in a good opportunity, something with the potential to grow. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about taking money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures from UNCF. Your investment can help students go to college, which ends up making the future better for everybody. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A message from UNCF and the Ad Council.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14...
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the search engine and digital marketing race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my two kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
People are always talking about the stock market, always looking to invest in a good opportunity, something with the potential to grow. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about taking money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures from UNCF. Your investment can help students go to college, which ends up making the future better for everybody. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A message from UNCF and the Ad Council.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14...
31? I mean, 13?
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the search engine and digital marketing race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what...
I saw a man, he danced with his wife in Chicago, Chicago, my hometown.
I'm back. And just amazing to me the machinations that go on in government. And today we see that just unbelievable. And the hatred that comes from the left, because they seem to be unable to rule again, or still, and to drive the rest, to destroy this country and make it into a socialist paradise, something like Venezuela, where they can't even buy toilet paper. And food is, they're killing the animals in the zoo because they can't find food anywhere. And just a few, remember that the guy who was running Venezuela, who died not too long ago, had $2 billion in secret accounts that he had amassed because of the oil riches that Venezuela has. And now they can't even do they're going broke because the oil wells are drying up because there's nobody that's taking care of things. It's just a shame. And this is what happens every time we have a socialist paradise in the world. They've gone completely bad everywhere they've been tried. Communism is a absolute disaster. And how that anybody could believe it's wonderful is beyond me. But and the schools are, especially the colleges, the students are coming out, graduating. They don't know how to read. They don't know how to think. They have no critical thinking skills. They are simply repeating what their professors have drilled into them. And it's an amazing thing. And it's constant. And it keeps on going on and going on. And there was the guy, Bill Ayers, who was a bombed police stations and did all kinds of goofy things and was part of the SDS and so on, and his wife Bernadine Dorn, and he became a top professor at the University of Chicago. It's a shame. Anyway, next week, we'll see you next week. And have a good day, have a good week, and hope nothing destroys the country in the meantime.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's